Okay, how's it going, guys? Alright, so I was actually going to film this with my GoPro, and I actually tested it and everything, got it on, and it's not reading my SD card. It says no SD card when the SD card is in it, so I have no clue what's wrong with it. So I have to wait for my husband to get home now and make him fix it. So back to the tripod and the regular camera it goes. So I've been asked if I would show the pie crust recipe that I used on the chicken and broccoli pot pie that I made the other night. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to show you guys how I make pie crust. I actually learned this from Bev from over at Our Half Acre Homestead. I'm going to leave her link to her video down below. I'm going to tell you guys right off the bat, pie crust hates me. Hates me. I struggled with pie crust and learning how to make pie crust for over a year. And I would cry every single time I made it because it was a massive fail. And Bev's video, when I saw Bev make hers, and freezing your Crisco or your lard and freezing your butter has made all the difference in the world for me with pie crust. Now, my husband says I make phenomenal pie crust. The boys love it. It's really flaky. It's really light. And I don't struggle anymore. Although I'm still intimidated by it. Isn't it funny, like when you struggle with something for so long, you still feel like you struggle with it even after you like conquer it. So pie crust still makes me nervous. That in rice, cooking rice is just, it's right up there with pie dough for me. So if I can make this pie dough, you guys, any of you guys can make pie crust. You know, I used to buy that frozen Ritz pie crust crap, and once you make your own pie dough, I'm telling you, you'll never want to buy frozen again. And it's so easy and it's so uber cheap that it's almost sinful that you go to the store and pay $2-3 for frozen pie crust. So let's go on and make this. Now what I did is I have a 1/3 cup of Crisco here. I plan on starting to use lard. I just didn't know where the heck to find it in my grocery store. I always looked in the refrigerated section and could never find it. So now that I know that it's in the baking aisle, I'm going to pick up some lard next time I go shopping. So, but for now, I'm just using Crisco. So it's a 1/3 cup of Crisco, and it is a 1/3 cup of butter. I always use just a tad bit more just because the last little bit is usually hard to grate. So I always just give myself a little bit more, a little bit extra. But you want a 1/3 cup, which is a little bit over 6 tablespoons of butter. And then the 1/3 cup of Crisco or lard. The key is to freeze these. So I put them in the freezer for a good hour before I go and make my pie crust, to make sure that it's good and frozen and cold. And then we're going to use about 2.5 cups of flour. 2 cups are going to go in our bowl, and then usually about a 1/2 cup will go on your board when you go to roll this out. So I'm going to go ahead and put in 2 cups of flour. Now, if you're using unsalted butter, you're going to want to add some salt into your pie crust. I'm using salted butter, so I'm not going to bother. And let me grab a knife here. Just a butter knife. Make sure your hands are good and washed and cleaned. I'm going to just take my Crisco here. I'm going to get it out of the cup. Plop it right in. Okay. And always take off your wedding rings too. I'm going to toss it in my flour so it doesn't stick too bad to my grater. I'm using a hand grater here. Now, you can use your food processor. I try to, especially when I'm learning something new or something that I have a hard time and I struggle with, I like to do it by hand. Especially in a, you know, kind of a scenario where you might not have power, I want to be able to know that I can make it by hand and I'm not depending on a, you know, on a plug-in appliance, if you know what I mean. So, but when I struggle with something, I like to learn how to do it by hand, because I think there's a lot to be said about learning the way something feels by touch and by look that you just don't get when you use a machine. So that's why I do this by hand. I know somebody had asked me why I don't just use my food processor, because I have one, and that's why. Just because I'm just better at learning when I can feel it and touch it and see it and know when it starts looking right. People ask me too for recipes. I usually, you know, I go a lot by the way something looks and feels and tastes rather than a recipe, so it's always hard for me to write things down. Okay, you see how fast and easy that was to grate? Super easy. It makes it super, super easy when it's frozen. So now I'm going to do the butter, and the same thing, I'm going to toss my butter in the flour so it doesn't stick that much to my grater. And I'm just going to go ahead and grate that butter up. I swear if I have money one day, I'm going to custom make a kitchen where counters are just a little shorter for me. It's like I just need to be, I'm 5'1" on a good day, and I just need to be higher just a couple inches, so I gotta step on my tippy toes. Of course, when you grate butter, be careful when you get to the end. You don't want to grate your skin off. I love my hand grater. I use it all the time for everything, so okay. And then I usually grab up just a little bit of flour and just scrape the inside of my hand grater to get all that butter out. And that is it. Alright, so we're just gonna toss that in, just like so. Now I'm gonna run and go grab my water. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to make a little well in the center here, okay? And we're going to touch this the least amount that we have to, because your warm hands will melt this butter, and the whole goal is to keep the butter and keep the Crisco super cold in there, super chunky, so that you see speckles of your butter in your pie crust. So I have, you're going to use about a half a cup of water. I use ice cold water, and then I put ice cubes in it to keep it super cold. And again, go over and watch Bev's video on this, because it'll be a lot better than what I'm showing you, but this is how I do. So then I just work the flour around, and I just, like Bev said, you just turn it and pull it towards the center there until it starts kind of coming together. And it's better to add a little bit of water, little bit, until you get it, instead of adding too much water, which I have done. And then you kind of have more of a mess on your hands. So I'm just going to kind of work that water in. You're definitely getting there. And again, for me, it's more of a feel. I'm just going to add a little bit more. And this should do it. It took me many a pie crusts to get it worked out right so that I would know the feel and the look of what I was looking for. So, you know, if you're new to this, It might take you many pie crusts too, but that's okay, because even if your pie crust is kind of flat and dense, if you got kids, they'll probably still eat it for you. So there is my pie crust, and it has come together beautifully. Now it's a little sticky for me. See, I might have added just a bit too much water. I'm just going to add just a tad bit more flour here. And that, get this off of me. That right there. That right there is perfect. Alright, so there is my dough ball. And that is it. I know it probably isn't going to pick up, but you can definitely see flecks of butter in there. And it's still super cold. I don't want to keep this in my hand for too long. Now, I'm not making my pie right now. I'm actually making a meat potato pie using a lot of my home canned vegetables, so I will be back with a video on that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just put this ball of dough in some saran wrap, throw it in my fridge, and then when I bring it out, I'll show you in that video what I do. But I'll just divide this in half. Then I usually pick the bigger half, because there's always a bigger half. I use the bigger half for the bottom, and you just roll it out. You're going to use your other half a cup of flour, put it on your board, cover your rolling pin, and roll it out into a circle. You kind of just roll and keep turning it as you're rolling it until you can cover your pie dish or your pie plate, and then use the other half for your top, and you'll roll it out the same way. So it's super easy from here. This is the most difficult part. And I swear to you guys, as long as you keep everything cold, you use frozen Crisco or lard, frozen butter, and use ice water. As long as you keep it ice cold and as long as you don't touch it too much, you're going to have perfect pie crust, pie dough. So I hope this was helpful to you. I know I struggled with this the most. I could make bread, but I could not make pie dough. So this has been quite an accomplishment for me, and I hope just some of my tips and tricks that I have learned from my mentors I can pass on to you guys. And if you are not subscribed to Bev over at My Half Acre Homestead, please treat yourself. Go subscribe to her. She's absolutely amazing. I love her inside and out. She just means a lot to me, and I am so lucky and grateful to know her. She's just a beautiful human being, and I just love her. So go subscribe to her. She will teach you so much. I've learned so much from that woman. So enjoy her channel. All right, guys, I'm going to get this up on YouTube, and I will meet you back here tonight when I make that homemade meat potato pie, which I'm going to use home canned potatoes for. All right, see you later.